Ever have one of those Mondays? You know, those days where everything feels like it's on repeat. Like same routine, nothing new, nothing exciting. Well, today we're going to kind of drop you right into the middle of a day like that.
But this day, this ordinary day, well, it takes a pretty sharp turn into the seriously bizarre.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're going to dive deep into the experiences of this teenager, Tomas.
He seems like totally normal at first, just your average teenager. And we're using this story, Texto Colado, as our guide for all of this.
And our mission here, we're not just going to like retell the story. We're going to dig into the weird stuff. You know those moments where you're reading and you're like, hold on, what just happened?
Exactly. We're going to try to make sense of it all, unpack the strange events, and see what we can learn from them.
So, first things first. Who is this Tomas guy? What's he all about?
Well, the story really goes out of its way to make him seem like incredibly average. Brown eyes, light skin, short hair, the kind of description that makes him almost blend into the background.
So not exactly a standout, huh?
Not really. He's passing his classes, but not like acing them or anything. He doesn't really stand out in any way. And the interesting thing is he seems totally okay with that, at least at the beginning of the story.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like he's looking for attention or anything. And his morning routine, oh man, this screams going through the motions, you know?
Totally. That old beeping alarm clock, you can practically hear it struggling to wake him up. He gets dressed quickly, no
Yeah.
fuss. And then that breakfast, so typical. Juice or chocolate milk, a grilled cheese sandwich, some cookies, maybe a piece of fruit if he's feeling a little healthy, huh?
Classic. Like the Breakfast of Champions Teenage Edition.
Right. And even that little detail, how he doesn't say goodbye to his sister who's still asleep, it just reinforces this idea that he's living life on autopilot. Almost a little detached from the people around him.
Okay, but even in this predictable life, there are those little things that can make a Monday a bit less. Well, Monday-ish. For Tomas, it's springtime and this guy's strange relationship he has with Mandy.
Oh, Mandy. Yeah, this relationship, right off the bat, it feels a bit off, doesn't it?
It definitely does. They keep it super secret, can only see each other at school because her parents have no clue about him. This isn't your typical high school romance, for sure.
No, it's not. Makes you wonder what's really going on between them. Maybe there's more to it than meets the eye.
And Mandy, she's like the opposite of Tomas, right?
Ah.
Totally different vibe.
Oh, yeah, completely. She's described as like a cheerleader in the movies, always the center of attention, super popular. And get this, she's kind of lazy, despite being so popular.
Lazy, really?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. Her family's wealthy, though the story makes it clear that that's not the only reason she's so popular. And physically, she's, stunning. Beautiful blue eyes, long black hair that she usually keeps in a braid, and this porcelain doll kind of face. She's the girl that everyone notices.
Okay, so big question here. Why would someone like Mandy, this super popular, gorgeous girl, be interested in someone like Tomas, Mr. Average?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It makes you think about what attracts people to each other beyond the obvious, like looks or popularity. Maybe Tomas has some hidden charm, or maybe they connect on a different level than she does with her usual crowd. This contrast between them, it's like the first crack in the surface of Tomas's ordinary life.
It definitely feels like something's about to shake things up. So on his way to school, on this day that's going to get really weird really fast, Tomas meets up with his best friend, Rafa. And Rafa is a completely different character, like total opposite energy from Tomas.
Oh, yeah. Where Tomas blends in, Rafa stands out. White skin, but with this incredibly bright red hair. The story describes him as being a magnet for gazes. He's charismatic, athletic, the kind of guy that people are just naturally drawn to. It shows you how differently people can navigate the social scene at school.
They've been friends forever, these two. They studied together, grown up in the same neighborhood. It's that kind of deep, comfortable friendship that a lot of us have experienced. And their conversation on the way to school, it gives us a glimpse into their different worlds, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Tomas spent his weekend, doing typical Tomas things. Superhero movies, comics, walking his dog, Yoda.
Hold on, Yoda. Like the Jedi Master.
Exactly. A white bull terrier named after Yoda. It's a nice little detail, shows you a bit of Tomas's personality. He even went to see a sci-fi movie by himself. Meanwhile, Rafa spent his weekend playing soccer with his dad. Really highlights their different personalities, how they choose to spend their free time.
I think it shows that even in the ordinary, there's so many different ways to be, and maybe those differences become important later on. So Tomas gets to school, probably expecting a pretty normal Monday, maybe a chance to see Mandy, even though they have to keep it low-key.
Mm-hmm.
But when he sees her, her greeting is, well, Not exactly what he expected.
No, it's super short and dismissive. She's like, almost like she's trying to get away from him. And then she pulls him aside, away from her friends, and says she needs to talk to him privately.
Doesn't sound good.
Not really. And the way she calls him too, we later find out it's just because she's lazy, but it feels like another sign that she's not really invested in this relationship.
Ouch. So what happens? What does she say?
She breaks up with him, just like that.
Oh, no warning.
Nope. She says she's not looking for anything serious, that 3 months is long enough for her, and that she wants to be alone. It's all said with this, like practiced indifference, like she's done this a million times before.
That's rough. How does Tomas take it?
He's totally shocked, obviously, confused. And then it hits him that, looking back, nothing Mandy ever said or did felt totally genuine. It's like a harsh wake-up call for him. And to make things worse, the school bell rings right at that moment, like fate is just messing with him.
Oh, man, that's gotta hurt. No time to even process what just happened. And, guess Rafa shows up, right? Good old Rafa. Always there for his friends.
Of course, classic best friend move. He immediately starts talking trash about Mandy, using some pretty colorful language, calling her not.
Well, let's just say he doesn't hold back. His solution for Tomas is simple. Distract yourself. Get back to doing the things you enjoyed before Mandy came along. It's actually kind of sweet, shows how much he cares.
So Tomas goes to class, trying to deal with this whole breakup situation. And even in the middle of math class with this, how did this story describe him? This kind of messy teacher.
Oh, Rogério. Yeah, he's described as being constantly stressed, like his marriage is falling apart and it's written all over his face. It's almost comical, this contrast between Tomas's heartbreak and Rogério's midlife crisis.
A reminder that everyone's got their own problems, right? Even the adults.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Life's full of little dramas, big dramas, all kinds of dramas. So true. But back to Tomas. Class ends, but the breakup drama isn't over yet. He hangs back in the empty classroom, probably trying to avoid running into Mandy. And then out of nowhere, he bumps into Suzy, his sister's friend.
Yeah, that's an interesting part. Suzy, or Tsukamoto Izihara, she already knows about the breakup, which tells you how fast gossip travels in high school. But she actually tries to comfort Tomas, which is nice. It says something about her character.
So she's not Team Mandy then.
Definitely not. She calls Mandy stuck up, so it seems like Mandy's popularity didn't win everyone over. And then Suzy suggests they watch some movies together, something silly to cheer Tomas up.
Okay, that's cool of her. What kind of movies?
The story doesn't say just silly movies, whatever those are.
Fair enough. So they're hanging out, watching movies. And then
she kisses him on the cheek. Out of the blue.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it catches him off guard. He even blushes. It hints at a possible shift in his social life, Maybe a new connection is starting to form.
Interesting. Maybe a sign that good things can come after heartbreak, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. So the school day goes on, lunch break rolls around. Tomas is still pretty bummed out, just gives Rafa money to buy snacks. And of course the breakup news has spread like wildfire. All Tomas wants is to go home and, just chill out for a bit.
Totally understandable. But the day is not over yet. He still has art class with Professor Root to look forward to.
Professor Root, tell me more about this teacher.
Well, she's about to retire, and apparently she's decided to make her last few years of teaching a living hell for her students. It's kind of funny, this image of this art class run like a boot camp. And to make things even more awkward for Tomas, Mandy's in that class too.
Ugh, talk about bad timing.
Right, so Tomas is trying to deal with his ex being right there, ignoring him, and Rafa, well, he keeps making comments about Mandy, trying to be funny, but probably not really helping. It shows you how friends try to support each other, even if they don't always get it right.
But even with all the awkwardness, they still have that easy banter between them, Rafa jokes about having a girlfriend. Tomas teases him back. It's a reminder that their friendship is solid, despite everything. And then their conversations shift to something a bit unexpected. Tomas's drawings of castles.
That's a curious detail, right? It says he's always drawing castles, even though he's not really into fantasy stuff or role-playing games. Those are more his sister's thing. The story suggests it might be connected to a show he liked as a kid, Caverna do Dragão, which is a fantasy cartoon.
I'm guessing it's pretty popular.
Yeah, it was a big hit, probably sparked a lot of imaginations back in the day. So this little detail about the castles, it suggests that there is this hidden world of imagination inside Tomas, even though he seems so ordinary on the surface.
Maybe it's his way of escaping, creating his own world when the real one feels a bit too, ordinary, or in this case, maybe a bit too painful. School's finally over, and Tomas and Rafa split up. Rafa gets a ride, And Tomas starts walking home, probably still thinking about Mandy and everything that happened. And then things take a really strange turn.
He realizes he's not on his usual route. He's so lost in thought that he's wandered off course without even noticing. And then he sees it. This weird, narrow alleyway squeezed between two totally normal-looking houses. It just seems completely out of place, like a glitch in the Matrix or something.
Okay, that's weird. And it gets even weirder, right?
Oh, yeah. There's this neon light at the end of the alley, glowing brightly even though it's broad daylight. Definitely a red flag, like something's not right. But for some reason, Tomas decides to check it out. He walks right into the alley.
Bold move. What happens next?
Well, as soon as he enters the alley, he feels this intense pain, like his whole body is being twisted. He's completely disoriented, loses track of everything. And then the next thing he knows, he's waking up in his own bed, still wearing his school uniform.
That's creepy, like teleporting creepy.
Totally. But it gets even weirder. He looks in the mirror and he's a mess. His hair is tangled, covered in leaves and mud. His uniform is filthy, stained with all these strange colors and textures. It's like he's been dragged through a jungle or something.
And he has no idea how it happened.
None whatsoever. Total blackout. And the funny thing is, his first thought isn't about the weirdness of it all. It's about his mom seeing his dirty clothes.
So relatable, right?
Yeah.
Even when the world is going crazy, you still worry about what your mom's going to say.
So true. It's those little details that make the story feel real, even when it's so out there. So what happens the next morning? Does he, freak out?
Surprisingly, no.
Oh.
He wakes up feeling totally fine, like nothing happened, and he makes up a story for his mom, blames his early return and tiredness on the breakup.
Smooth. Does she buy it? Seems like it. She doesn't question him too much. Even his dad just gives him a silent head ruffle, like it's any other day. The only thing out of the ordinary is that his sister's not around.
Okay, so life goes on, kinda. But I bet Tomas can't stop thinking about that alleyway.
You got it. It's all he can think about on his walk to school. He's so preoccupied that he doesn't even notice Rafa joining him, already talking about something. Shows you how much this experience has messed with him.
Yeah, he's definitely not all there. So he finally snaps out of it, tells Rafa about the whole crazy experience, waking up dirty, no memory, the whole 9 yards. What does Rafa say?
At first, he doesn't believe him. Makes fun of him a little, which is understandable. It's hard to believe something that wild could happen to your friend and they wouldn't remember any of it. And then Tomas realizes he doesn't have his phone with him, which makes retracing his steps even harder.
The plot thickens. So they get to school. Does anything else weird happen, or is it back to normal?
Well, the school day itself seems pretty normal. Mandy's there, classes are going on as usual, but there is one weird moment. During science class, Tomas sees something strange out the window. It looks like a giant cat far down the street.
A giant cat, that's specific.
Right. And he sees it super clearly, which means it's probably not just his imagination. But then it vanishes, just like that. It's like these weird events are starting to bleed into his normal life, little by little.
That's unnerving. So break time comes around, and I'm guessing they're on the case, trying to find that alleyway.
Yep. They're huddled over a map on Rafa's phone, trying to figure out where Tomas could have gotten lost. And then, of course, Mandy walks by, looking even more done up than usual. Talk about a distraction.
Classic high school drama. But I bet Tomas is too focused on the mystery to even notice her this time.
Exactly. He's totally consumed by trying to figure out what happened, and then Suzy joins them, adding another brain to the investigation.
How does she get involved?
She notices Tomas using his phone, which is weird because he thought he didn't have it. They start talking, and he tells her the whole story about getting lost in the alleyway. She's skeptical at first, but then...
She starts to believe him.
Yeah. The details he describes, the long alleyway, the neon light, it's all pretty convincing. And then he mentions the blackout, the missing memories, and that's what really gets her hooked. She agrees to help them search after school. It's like a real-life mystery, and she can't resist.
Makes sense. So they've got a plan. But even before they can start searching, things get weird again, right? This time in literature class.
Right. Their teacher, Professor Arthur, he's described as a really good teacher, even though he's kind of small and not imposing. But then, out of nowhere, the lights in the classroom start flickering.
At our search.
Maybe? But during those flickers, Tomas sees something strange on the blackboard. An image that shouldn't be there.
An image? What kind of image?
The story doesn't say, just that it's not something that should be there. He tries to get Rafa and another student, Julia, to see it, but they're both distracted. And then the lights go back to normal, just like that. A maintenance guy checks the lights, but he can't find anything wrong.
Another unexplained event. This is getting seriously freaky.
Yeah, it definitely adds to the feeling that something's not right in Tomas's world, like reality is starting to glitch out around him.
So, school's out, time to start the search. I bet Tomas is a little nervous about going back to that alleyway.
He is, but Susie's there, ready to go. They start by retracing Tomas's usual route home, hoping to find the spot where he went off course, but they have no luck.
Dead end. And then they have that realization, right? The one that really kicks things up a notch.
They realize that they're in a completely unfamiliar neighborhood. Tomas is the first to notice. He points out the two-story houses, how they're different from the ones in their neighborhood. Suzy agrees, even calls them mansion-like. And then Rafa, who's usually pretty observant, admits that he doesn't recognize this place either.
That's unsettling. How could they wander so far off without even realizing it?
It's definitely weird. And then their phones, which had battery earlier, are suddenly dead. It's like something's deliberately messing with them, cutting them off from the outside world.
Okay, now I'm getting chills. So they're stuck in this strange new neighborhood. What's it like?
It's eerily quiet. No people, no cars, not even any animals. It's like they've stepped into a ghost town in the middle of the day.
That's creepy. Super creepy. And I'm guessing they're starting to get a little freaked out.
Oh, yeah. Rafa even jokes about them being in another dimension, which, considering everything that's happened, doesn't sound so crazy anymore.
And then they start noticing all these little inconsistencies, right? Like things that just don't add up.
Exactly. Tomas realizes they should have passed the library by now if they were on their usual route. Then Rafa tries to use the sun to get their bearings, but it's in the wrong position for the time of day. It's like the rules of their world have changed.
This is getting seriously trippy. So what do? Just keep wandering around?
Well, Suzy decides they need to get a closer look at one of the houses. She's always the one taking charge. And this particular house, it's not exactly welcoming.
What do you mean?
It's got this high hedge and a heavy gate that doesn't seem to be motorized. It gives off a very private, secluded vibe. Suzy, being Suzy, decides to climb over the gate with Rafa's help. And while they're doing that, Tomas sees something moving down the street, but it disappears before he can get a good look.
Another disappearing act. So they get into the yard. What's it like?
Everything is perfectly manicured. The lawn, the house, everything. It's weirdly perfect, almost too perfect, which makes it even creepier in this context.
Like a Stepford Wives kind of situation.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So they decide to go inside the house, see what's what.
Brave souls. What do they find?
The inside of the house is strange. It's like a showroom, not a real home.
Yeah.
The decorations are unfinished. The furniture is placed like it's on display, not meant to be used. It's a very unsettling atmosphere.
Definitely not your average home. And then they find that armchair, right?
Yeah, they go up to the second floor, and there's this single room, mostly empty except for a silver armchair sitting in the middle of the floor. There's also a staircase leading to a third floor, but they don't go up there.
Smart move. I'm guessing Rafa's ready to get out of there by this point.
Oh yeah, he's totally creeped out. Keeps mentioning horror movies, which is never a good sign. Suzy agrees that the place is weird, but she hasn't seen anything actually dangerous. But Tomas, for some reason, he's drawn to that silver armchair.
So he sits in it.
He does, and that's when things go from weird to completely bonkers.
Hit me with it. What happens?
As soon as he sits down, the armchair makes this loud, strange noise. And then everything around him disappears. He's floating in space, surrounded by stars. His friends are gone. There's nothing but the cosmos.
Whoa, hold on. Space? Like outer space?
That's what it sounds like. And the weirdest thing is, he's not freaking out. The story says he's surprisingly calm about the whole thing.
Calm? I'd be losing my mind.
I know, right? But Tomas, he's just chilling in space. And then the chair starts moving, drifting towards this giant golden palace or castle that appears in the distance. It's described as having all these different architectural styles, like something out of a dream.
A golden palace in space. This is getting wild.
Tell me about it. So the chair carries him down into the gardens of this palace, and as soon as he gets up, he passes out again. It seems like sitting in the chair is what triggers these transitions, these jumps between realities.
Okay, that's crazy. So he wakes up again. Where is he this time?
Not a palace, that's for sure. He wakes up in pain in this cold, damp, dark place. His left arm is killing him. He's got a cut that's healing. He realizes he's in some kind of abandoned storage room surrounded by boxes and old furniture. It's a far cry from the space palace.
Sounds more like a dungeon.
Yeah, kinda. But he spots a door hidden behind some boxes, so there's hope.
Escape route.
He pushes the boxes over. Most of them are empty, which is convenient. He opens the door and it leads out into a moonlit night. He finds himself in the parking lot of an abandoned shopping center on the outskirts of the city, a place he actually recognizes.
Back in the real world, but still a pretty creepy place to be.
Definitely. But then he sees the door he just came through, the secret passage door, and it's like perfectly blended into the wall of the shopping center. And then, get this, the door starts opening and closing on its own, like it's possessed or something.
Okay, that's seriously messed up. How does he react?
The story says he's not scared, he's actually kind of delighted by it, like he's finding wonder in this impossible thing happening right in front of him.
That's kind of amazing, actually. Like, even in the midst of all this craziness, he can still find joy in the unexpected.
It's a very human reaction. But then reality sets in. He's got a bruised arm, a cut, his clothes are torn, and his backpack is missing. No phone, no money, no way to contact anyone. And he's worried about Rafa and Suzy, who are still God knows where.
Oh man, he's all alone. So what does he do?
He starts walking. Doesn't even know the way home for sure, but he starts walking. What a way to end an otherwise ordinary Monday.
Absolutely wild. Tomas started his day expecting the usual routine, maybe a little heartbreak, and he ended up floating in space, visiting a golden palace, and teleporting to an abandoned shopping center.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about the nature of reality, the possibility that there's more out there than we realize. Maybe these weird events are just random, or maybe there's some deeper connection, something we haven't figured out yet.
It definitely makes you question things.
Yeah.
Like, what if those seemingly ordinary days aren't so ordinary after all? What if there's a whole other world, a whole other reality, hidden just beneath the surface?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? And it makes you wonder, could something like this happen to any of us? What if there are triggers in our own lives, things we don't even notice, that could open up those hidden connections to something extraordinary? It's something to think about for sure.
It definitely is. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of the universe and the possibility that the ordinary might not be so ordinary after all.
Until next time.
See you then.